Can someone confirm?
Said we're live streaming, so I think we're good. But Jeff, we check on the group.
Let's see here. Facebook.
I'm trying to load. Yeah, I got notifications.
It is live?
I got notifications. It is, yeah.
Okay.
Checking. It's trying to reload.
Yep, I can see it. All right, cool. All right, let's do it.
Yep, here we go.
So we've got some wins. Who did something cool this week? Really?
No way. Come on, people.
One SEO that's not related to anything on this particular program here, but they came in for $9.97 a month. So it's a start.
Yeah, that's cool. Congrats on that. That's more money in the bank, right? So,
Yeah.
Excellent.
I was happy that I got a GMB that had been suspended, reinstated, that I was running out for 600 a week.
Nice. Brought one back.
Yeah, just a couple documents.
Yeah, that's great, man. Those are worth so much, you know, especially if you have it rented.
Yeah, for sure. Getting that back before they said they wanted to cut out and go to see someone else was nice.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome, man. Yeah. Who else has some wins? What else we got? Anything cool?
Not a real win, but I got my agency GBP back. It got disabled because of non-compliance with the Google blah 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 blah. So went and did some wrist wrestling with them, and so it's back. Wasn't any fun, but it's done. Needed it.
Cool. Well, I'll say we have a win. We're excited. You guys, last week, it was actually kind of Patric Rulin's idea. He said, hey, are you guys going to the event this year? And we'd kind of been back and forth about it. And then we said, hey, let's do it. So we went and we got ourselves a booth. And as some of you guys saw, we were selling some tickets to join us and come hang out. If anyone's interested, we kind of sold out really quickly with the ones that we have available. But I'm also reserving a few for a couple of my good marketing buddies. So there is the potential that we open up a couple more. So if you're interested, let us know. But I think for right now, we've sold them all.
I think we get a discount going forward on any additional. So if you want to get in on something like that, we can try to figure it out.
Yeah, I think we get, I can't remember what they said. We would get some sort of discount on the additional ones. Either way, like if you decide you want to go and you can't get one of our like super discounted tickets, you're still like, if you join, we still love to hang out, right? We just only had X amount of tickets that were extra for us, right?
We're talking about traffic and conversions.
Traffic and Conversions Summit in San Diego, the biggest digital marketing conference in the world. Or so they say, right? Who knows? But it's September 27th, 28th, and 29th in San Diego. So really excited to hang out and meet, a lot of you guys I've like talked to for a couple of years, some of the people that will be joining us. We've never met in person, right? And it's been 2-3 years that we've been doing Zoom calls and going back and forth in Messenger. So really excited to meet some of you guys in person. So that will be super cool. I think Spencer will be joining us, Patric Rulin.
Raphael got a win. He got an $850 deal monthly.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Jackson Stoddard, I think, is going to be joining us too. A few other people. Cool. So, Spencer, do you have a win? I know you always like to be polite and let the other folks go first. Did you do anything cool this week?
I mean, it's been slow. I invoiced for a couple of GMBs at 3K total. So it's this growth period as I've talked, we were well over 40K there for probably 45 days total of what we brought in. And so it's just these growing pains, getting on team calls and trying to understand a Pakistani accent is very challenging. Instead of just communicating through Messenger. But my team is, I guess as a team atmosphere and getting to know them more as humans, getting to know them. It's easier to convey expectations through team calls than through Facebook Messenger. I mean, who would have known? Right. So it's just growing pains really. And I brought on an intern, a guy that has taken a course from the guy originally had got me into the business, and he really has the desire, but just doesn't understand all the missing pieces and how they fit together. And so I'm interning him, and eventually he'll be, hopefully transition into an actual employee. But that's a win, I guess. There's a lot of things in this business. It moves very quickly. So to keep track of the wins is sometimes difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think over time we start to, the things that, maybe where our wins just become like an everyday or a weekly occurrence, and we just kind of shuffle those back, where like, hey, I've got maybe at the beginning 3 client appointments is a win, and then it just becomes like normal life, and now the bar's been raised, right? You start to kind of normalize some of these things.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, definitely excited to hang out with you, Spencer, next week or 10 days from now, or whenever it is, a couple weeks.
There's no forest down there, Spencer, but we're gonna have to go to the beach at least.
Did the beach, and I'll be coming back, hopefully recharged from Cabo San Lucas to catch a flight the next day to come see you guys.
That's right.
I'm super stoked to meet my LeadSnap family.
Right on.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Cool. All right. Well, if we do not have more wins, we can get into the lesson that we have set up for you guys tonight. So you guys probably saw the title. Today is going to be about Google Analytics. I think it is a valuable but kind of underutilized. It's underutilized in kind of the lead gen space. But I think a lot of bigger marketing companies, it's just kind of like what they do, and there's a lot of good reasons that you guys should be taking advantage of this. So this is going to be like an entry and setup type course. I think later on we're going to dive deeper into some things. There's a lot of extra things that you can do. A lot of really cool stuff. So for instance, determining your conversion rate. So if you were to have, let's say that your website is converting really, really well, and we'll call that 10% of people are actually calling or filling out a form. That would be a really good conversion rate. That means 90% of people are not converting. So one of the trainings that we're going to prepare is like, how can we take more advantage of that 90%? So that's not what this is about, but being able to measure it can make a difference. If your website, if you haven't done conversion optimization, then, and it also can relate to what keywords you're ranking for, right? So if you're ranking for like, my house is flooding and I need a plumber right now, then that's probably going to convert really well if someone comes to your site for that, versus like plumber near me may not convert as well as that. So there's all these different factors that are going to influence it. But let's pretend that you haven't done any conversion rate optimization and your site's actually converting at like 4% or 5%, which is, I think, is very realistic for a lot of you guys. That means that 95% of the time people are coming, they're just like bouncing and they're not leaving their information. And if you were to change that, let's say that you increase that conversion rate from like 4% to 8%, then you haven't gone out and got more backlinks. You've created probably no more content. You haven't done, you're not ranking any better, which ranking is, you don't have any more GMBs, you haven't got more reviews. All you've done is like improve your conversion rate from on-page stuff. So it's almost like you have twice as much traffic, right? You're going to have twice as many leads if you go from 4 to 8%. So being able to measure that and being able to understand what is moving the dial, right? So that's what part of what Google Analytics can do. It can give you a pathway for testing things, okay? So it's used all throughout different kinds of marketing. We're kind of, a lot of people come in and we're like, hey, this is the business model. It's really easy to run and we're going to focus on like building more sites. And I think that's a great, important thing to do. But what is also important is, maximizing what we have in place. And once you do this a few times, it becomes second nature. So today is going to be more of like, what is Google Analytics? Why is it important? And then the steps to set it up. So I understand that some of you guys might not be able to keep up in real time with this, but the good news is this is a recorded video that you can just play back at your own speed and go through the different steps. So I have kind of our slide deck, and I'm going to be switching back and forth between that, and I'm going to set it up in real time with you guys, and I'm going to show you how to set it up a few different ways. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through more of the WordPress installation, but I'm going to reference some of these other resources for how we can do this in something like Weebly or Duda or whatever. You can install this with whatever platform you're using. There's no platform limitation on Google Analytics. It's not a tool that you have to pay for. It's a free tool, right? So it just takes a few minutes to set it up. Let's just get into it here. I will share my screen. What's up, Solon? Welcome to the call, man. Who else? Well, Alfredo snuck in here. What's up, brother? Okay, cool. All right, Jeff, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, let me press this button right here. Okay, cool. All right, so getting started with Google Analytics. So, all right, let's go on here. So we'll talk about what it is. So Google, it's a free tool, as I mentioned, and it's going to give you, it's going to give the admins of sites or the owners the data statistics about their website traffic. It's going to show us a lot of user engagement. So how are, like, it's going to give us the best opportunity to make changes and then gauge whether those changes are having a positive influence with our clients actually turning from like website visitors, which is most of like just the raw truth after looking at a lot of different data and reading things. Most people are not converting on your site. There's just no way about it, no matter what it is. Like that's just the fact. So how can we get more of that, right? So with really low percentages, we have a big opportunity with changing things. And a lot of times this doesn't necessarily mean, let me change this button from like red to green and now my conversion rate is improved. It's probably going to be more about the messaging. Those are the things that are going to really move the dial. So if you guys have read, have this book, this is a really good book. I have everyone on my team reading it. It is Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. This is a $230 book. Okay, so it's not cheap. At one point, this book was like $1,000, and some guy came and re-released it because there just weren't a lot of copies of it. So this is like a very old book, but it's the Bible of a lot of different people. A lot of different like high-level marketers reference this. It's about copywriting, and I think the reason that copywriting is really important is that it's not so that you can write content on your website. It's so that you can write the right messaging that's going to connect with the person. So that goes into sales, right? If you know the right messaging on how to connect with your contractors and what's important to them and communicating that, and Google Analytics can help you kind of understand that if you can split test things, right? Okay, so you can see the key insights on how your website is performing and determine what you can do to meet your goals. So for instance, Google has, so we're not going to get into this too deep today. Well, really not at all, but you can set up events and then you can set up goals within Google Analytics. So a goal might be when someone calls, that would classify as like a conversion, that classifies as success, or someone fills out the form and you redirect to a thank you page, and that thank you page can trigger that a good thing has happened. And then you can use this as a way to determine if you're improving. Okay, cool. So there's so much more you can do this. So this is why we use it. So the first one is like general, but this is kind of like what we're doing. So you can track the user information, their location, the browsers, what are new users, unique. You get all kinds of statistics on this. You can also track the sources. So this is going to be important for you guys. Like how many people are finding you through organic search or what other pathway that are directly typing it in, maybe coming from a different website, maybe different even types of organic search. What's coming through Yahoo? I know we focus on Google, but there are other ones that maybe have some low-hanging fruit, right? We can also see from where people in the world are coming, and we get browser data. So this is an important one. So like most people, most of you like marketer or techie people, we're using Chrome, but there's also there's a lot of other browsers that maybe less techie people that are using. They're using like Explorer, and maybe some of the elements on your page, maybe the submit button doesn't work on Internet Explorer, and you just never get, everyone just leaves and you don't know. You have no clue until you can go in here and you can look and see if people are bouncing more, or if you can kind of detect issues. right? And you can see what pages are performing the best within your site. So there's a lot of really good information in here. Okay. So when should you use this? So set it up after you build your website, right? So I personally think unless you're worried about Google like doing like creepy stuff and having your data, then I don't really see a good reason not to use it. There are Google Analytics, there are like competitors. So if you're using one of those and you're like getting analytics data, that could be one. But other than that, like I would always recommend it just so that you can have data on your site, right? Okay, so if you haven't already set it up for lead generation, I highly recommend it. I think you guys should do that. All right, so this is going to be the bulk of the presentation. So how do we set it up, right? So step one, we're going to create a Google Analytics account. So you're going to need a Gmail account, right? So this is where we're going to go. We're going to like, first you need a Gmail account. So I have a Gmail account. I am in possession of a Gmail account. That's what this is here, right? So I've got this. So once I log in here, now I'm like logged into Google for this whole browser. And that's where I can go and you can actually just probably do this, right? This is not how I normally do it, but. All right,
Patrick,
so
is there a downfall with attaching this to your agency Gmail?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think, we've got this like footprint mentality because of Google My Business, right? Where we're just like always worried about this, and like most of the world that is like operating like Google My Businesses, even though like we make way more Google My Businesses than small, like most of the world is in this other space where they're getting them for their actual business. And most of like the Google Analytics world is like related to managing this. If you're attaching it to your agency, I don't think you need to like separate these all out because like, hey, like there's a GMB that's attached to this one. I don't think you need to go to that depth. So we haven't done that. We haven't seen any repercussions of it. And it's been years and years. And I've never even heard anyone mention to separate them either. So I've never heard any conversation around that. Okay, so to create your Google Analytics account, we're going to go here and, okay, so I can click on this and click Start Measuring. All right, so the way this works is you have like this kind of parent account, and then you can add in additional ones over here. So I will just use this as like our LeadSnap Analytics account, right? I don't want to get the nonsense from Google here. So I'm going to leave that one unchecked, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click on Next. So I think this other stuff is fine to leave checked. So we just put in our name and then we click on Next. Okay, and then the property setup. So this is actually going to be like the website that I'm going to set up. So today we will be working with this website, which we have created for you guys here. This is not a real one, so don't try to become our patrons. New York top construction company. So we just kind of have this. This is contractordemosite.com. We bought this domain. So I am just going to grab this here and go over to analytics. And I'm just going to call this contractor demo site. It is important to know, I don't know why this is pulling that, but it is important to know that you want to set this up with, because it's going to basically put all of your time and all this stuff. I think you can actually change it, but it's just easier if you do it here. It's going to put everything relative to the time zone that you set, right? So I am in Eastern. That's not like that. Hold on. Maybe I've got to choose like New York or something. Okay. We'll choose New York time. Okay.
Hey,
cool.
Patrick, just to clarify real quick, you said you could put all of your lead gen under one analytics account?
I think so. I think it's okay. Oops. I guess I went dollar, huh? I'm typing in United States. US dollar. There we go. Okay. This doesn't really matter so much for us. So for a lot of people, the reason they have this is there's a lot of, like if you're running an e-commerce site and they can actually track like the value of a website visitor, because they can say, okay, you've got 100 visitors that come a month and like 10 of them convert and the average one's worth like $4. So then they can say that's $40. So each website visitor is worth like 40 cents or something, right? So they can do, so that's, don't get like too stressed out about that unless you're selling, like, unless you're actually like selling something on the site. That's probably not going to matter so much. There's these advanced options, and this is worth mentioning. So for those of you guys that have set up analytics, maybe prior to 2021, then by default, it was going to be this like universal analytics, and they're phasing that out. So they're moving it to this GA4. So LeadSnap in our connection, it supports both of these. But when you're creating new ones, you're going to want to use GA4, and you may want to potentially, over the next year or so, transition into GA4 from this, because I think they're going to like completely phase this out at some point. So, but that's kind of the traditional one. So we don't really need to pay much attention to that now. So we'll just click on next. And now we're going to enter like some information for Google. So since this is like our contractor demo site, this is probably going to be in the home space. And I'm just going to give them a little information. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I do believe that some of the answers to these questions will change kind of how they support you, and some of the like default reports. I haven't gone through and tested it, but I always just go through and like enter the thing, measure customer engagement with my app, my site or app. So that's me. I want to optimize my site. I want to measure data. I will do this. So this will probably be more relevant if you're running ads, but I don't see any reason not to check it. Measure content monetization. I'm not going to do that one because this is not going to be e-commerce. Analyze my online sales. No, I'm not doing that. Measure lead generation. And I will just do this and click on create. Okay, so then you have to agree that Google owns all this data and they have the right to spy on you at every moment possible. And then you click on I accept, and you have your account here. Okay, so this is just like it says here, right? We're going to give you some email stuff. It's up to you if you want to do any of this. I would say this one would be a good one. Maybe feature announcements. And then I'm not going to do these other two, and I'll just click on save. Okay, cool. So I think I've gone through a lot of these slides in here. So let's just kind of like catch up here. So we're going to go through, and so you can have up to 100 properties in a site, and you just go through. We saw this. We click on start measuring. So I just want to catch up because we are okay. So you're going to add in your name. We've already done this. Fill out your business information. Accept the terms of service. Keep in mind you can, like I said, 100 accounts. Step 3, we've got our email preferences. So we went through that one. Okay, data stream. Okay, so this is where we are now. So specifying where you want to pull this information from, right? So we're going to use the web, right? Unless you guys are building an app, then these don't really apply to you. Okay, so let's just go back over here. That's kind of what that is. We're going to choose web. A lot of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory, right? So we are on to this next step. We've got it. We're just going to put in our website here. I believe I still have that. Yes. Okay. And then I am going to contractor demo site. Okay. It does not like this URL. Oh, it's already got the HTTP here. Hang on. Make that an S. Get rid of this. All right, cool. All right. So we will now create the stream. Okay. So we are basically on to, we've got it set up, but it's not, this isn't going to do anything like this, right? We basically just created this property, and now we have to connect it to our website. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make this connection. Okay, so I think one of the easiest ones is going to be down here. If you kind of scroll down and you go to this like tag instructions here, oops, you can see here that there are instructions for different sites. So I know that a lot of you guys are using Duda or Snaps, which is the same as Duda. So that one would apply to you. I've got a slide in here that talks about Weebly. I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to install it manually. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through this part of it. Let's bring this back over here real quick. Okay, so you can kind of see we're clicking here, and I'm going to share these with you guys. I'll give you guys access to these steps because I know, obviously you have this video where you can replay this. Okay, so this is where we are. We're going to install this manually. You can follow one of these options if you want to explore, but I think doing it manually is super simple. So basically all we need to do is we're just going to copy this, and you look up here in this top right here, we can just kind of click on copy, right? So we've got this copied to our clipboard. Am I going too fast? Do you guys have any questions on this yet? We good, Jeff?
Yeah, we're good. I don't see any.
Sarah Bailey says too fast.
Too fast.
Okay, I'll slow it down. I'll slow it down a notch, Sarah. Sorry. I've done this a lot, and I think it just they have a pretty intuitive user interface, and I just want to run, right? I'm like, go, go, go. But yeah, you can also watch the replay too. So basically we can just click on that little button to copy it. So like I said, there's different instructions for WordPress. I'm going to show you how to set this up for WordPress now. So if you go to your site, then right, we're going to log into the admin area right here. I'm already logged in, so it's just going to redirect me, but you guys would have that opportunity to put in your username and password. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to install a new plugin, right? And this is the plugin that we want right here, this WP code. So to get that, we'll just come over here and we'll go to plugins, right? And then we're going to search for this WP code. We'll go up here to add new, and then we'll put in here WP code, and this will make it super simple for us to get this installed. So next, after we find the plugin, you can kind of see from our slide, this is what it looks like, right? WP code, there it is. And we can just click over here and we can click on install now. So it'll just take a couple seconds and it says installed. So if you guys have used WordPress, it's like pretty much the same process for installing anything else. And then we'll click on activate, right? So the next thing we will want to do is, hang on one sec, get this thing out of the way. All right, so over here, after we have this like installed and set up, you'll see that it's right here, right? WP code. And now we have this like code snippets option. So as a part of that installation, it set this up for us, right? This code snippets. Okay, so we've got that, and we want to, hang on. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, it's over here. Header and footer. So we're going to go over here to header and footer, right? And we can kind of see, looks like we have this when I was doing this test earlier. Okay, so that was from us to setting it up earlier, but that's exactly what we're going to put back in here. So I'm going to grab this analytics code from right here, right? And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to just paste this in here like this. Okay, so this is basically it, guys. And then I click on save changes. So that's as simple as it is. And now I will have my analytics data. For these other sites, we've got a little information. So if you're using Wix, you can log into the dashboard on the left side menu, click on marketing and SEO, then marketing integrations. There should be a Google Tag Manager option there. Click connect, and you can add your stuff in there. You have the option for Squarespace. My team found this. I'm not even that's supposed to be Weebly. I guess on Weebly, copy the generated code, navigate to the settings on your Weebly site, and select SEO from the site builder. So you can paste the code into the footer code of your website, click save and publish. So it's going to be pretty simple. And you know, guys, all this stuff is Googleable, right? You can go through if you need like step-by-step instructions on how to set this up on Weebly. We can make another video. I don't use Weebly, so I don't have a ton of experience installing on there, but I know that Weebly is super simple to work with. And you know, if you built a site out on there, then this should just take you a couple minutes to figure out and paste it into the footer there. So once we have this, and if you guys could do me a favor, and just some of you guys can go to visit the site, contractordemosite.com, because I'm going to now have the ability to see I'm going to have the ability to see traffic in real time. And this can take like 5 minutes or so for this. You can see like right now it says no data received in the past 48 hours. Well, we've only had it connected for a few minutes, right? So if I go over here and I can see this data, it should just take a couple minutes usually before it starts to populate and pull through. Actually, let me make sure. Did I actually save that thing before I went out? Stand by. Hold on. Reload this, go to our code snippets, header and footer. Okay, so I've got it in there. I'm not sure if anyone has visited our site. Let me just refresh this. And then you can see, look, yeah, see users per minute. So it's starting to like load this. So now I'm getting like real website data. And if you guys dive into this a little bit, you can see, look at this going up from the people that are on this call, right? And I can go and I can view all sorts of information. So I've got people from Bosnia, Canada, and 3 people in the United States that have gone to this, and I can click on this to get more real-time data, right? Of where people,
Austin, representing
Yeah.
Austin over here.
there you go. So this is Jeff right here, right? And then, so that is how simple that is. And I'll tell you guys, there's no charge for like Google Analytics. It's super simple to set up, and it will give us a ton of data on our stuff. And then the good news is that if you are participating in the LeadSnap platform, then you can take this another step further, right? So we can log into our account. Give me 1 second here. Let me just log in. And you can actually make this connection and have all this data inside LeadSnap. And we are going to be bringing this into our reports a ton. So as we continue to like build out the reporting part of the platform, we're going to have this data getting pulled into other reports. You can get alerts like, hey, would you want to know if your traffic increased by like 15%? Or maybe if your traffic has taken a nosedive, like, hey, normally in a week we get 200 visitors, and this week we've had 75. So there is probably some problem. So this can be almost a leading indicator that there's an issue, or a leading indicator that we think we're about to really, we're going to maybe really start to crank out the leads now, right? So we're going to be building in these alerts directly into the system. And this can also be great for when you are trying to, excuse me, when you're trying to prove to your clients the value that you're adding, and like, hey, your traffic has gone up. This is an analytic data point from a third party, right? So this is an important way to justify value. And it's also a way to kind of test the results of what you're doing. You should know how many people are visiting your sites on a monthly basis, right? Your goal is to try to get people to your sites. If you're not measuring that, you're not paying attention to it, how do you know if your efforts, other than looking at leads, how do you know if your efforts are helping? So what we can do to connect this to LeadSnap is we can go inside of Google here, and then we can choose Google Analytics, and then we can go to accounts, right? And then next up here, we will click on this green button that says add accounts, and we will click on confirm. Give me 1 second here. Let me just get my information. All right, so I've already got Mr. Dwight Scott here. And so I'm already logged into this account. That's why it's like just letting me do it that way. And then I'll click on this. So I need to check this button. So basically you're just with this step. The first step, we're putting in the Gmail account that is associated with the Google Analytics for the Google, so that Gmail account, this one here, that's associated with this analytics, that's what I'm entering in here, right? So I just need to authenticate and basically tell Google that LeadSnap has my permission to be able to pull this data in there so that I can use it. And then click on continue, and we will now have this connection, right? So I can see that this is set up here. So the mapping is where you're going to map this from, like, you've brought in this website data, and LeadSnap doesn't know like what website this data is associated with. So that's what the mapping does, is it's just going to let us know. And I think, okay, so apparently we do not have that. I thought we had that set up. And then we're just going to click on this enable. So that's going to, this basically is like an on-off switch. So if you didn't want this to be true anymore, then you can disable it. So I'm going to click on enable, and I'm going to associate this data with this bear removal company, and I'm going to pretend that's my contractor site. Okay, so now that I have this connected, you can see that you're going to have this data available inside of the system here. So this is ours right here. We have no conversion rate because we haven't set up goals inside of our account. But if I click in here, then I can go, and all that data that we had, not all of it, a lot of that data that we had inside Google Analytics will be here. I think there is a little bit of a delay when it's pulled, like, I think it is maybe an hour or so before Google like provides this data through their API. So you can't get the like exact real time of how many people are on your site, but most of the time you're going to be reviewing this of like, well, what's happened in the last week, right? So that's going to be off by 1 hour, right? Or the last month. So if we were to look at, let's go back and let's just, we'll switch to Leaping Larry's Electronics here, and you can kind of see what this looks like. So this one has been connected for a little while. So we've got like user information. We know the new visitors that have come through, the sessions. We can see the countries and the languages and this type of stuff. So we have a lot of information coming in here. We have this dashboard page here, which is going to give you kind of like a highlight of what's happened. See the average engagement time is 23 seconds. That's not great. And that's one of the ones you're going to want to pay attention to, right? So we want to increase that average engagement time. So I've talked to you guys about this in the past, that Google is, when they're trying to decide who to rank best, they're considering things like the backlinks and all this other stuff, but they're also considering like bounce rate. So if someone comes to your page and then they instantly leave, or they consider dwell time. If you look up dwell time for SEO, like dwell time is how much time they spend on your page. So Google thinks that there's more value if people spend more time on your page. So if you write more engaging content and your content is more geared towards the targeted people, this is why we say don't just like bullshit to get like keywords on your site, engage them. Google will value it more. And this is part of their calculation for that value, is paying attention to dwell time. So this will tell you right here, right? So you have that. So it's important stuff to have in here. We've got traffic sources, so we can see like how people are finding us. So direct is like when someone is typing the website in, and then we've got Google Organic. We can see like this would be an active campaign, what's come through Bing and Facebook. So all this stuff is kind of available for you. And again, we have the geo network here, so you can kind of see where people are coming from around the world, right? We can look at browsers. So this is what I was talking to you guys about earlier, is look, so we have these different browsers, right? And we have the engagement rate by browser, right? And the average engagement time. So you can compare this and see if there's any kind of anomaly that's happening where, why is it so much lower? Why is like, so maybe on the Android, there's only one person there. So that's not really a good sample size. But imagine this was like, maybe Edge has, what if this was 500 and this was half of what it is for these other ones? Then maybe there's a problem with Edge, and we need to like we need to like have our developers go to Edge and be like, what's the experience like? Try to submit a form, try to do the click to call, right? Do all these different things, and let's find out if there's an issue, right? This stuff is quick to look at. It's easy to overlook, but I'll tell you, there's gold in here for you to find if you're like willing to spend a little bit of time. And you could have someone on your team just kind of like load this stuff into LeadSnap, and then you can have someone on your team just go through and review this. You can kind of make a quick video and say, hey, I want you to check on this stuff every week and look if there's any kind of negative trends or positive trends. I want to get a heads up on it, right? And then we can have page level tracking to find out where our best pages are, and how things are going on these different pages, the users, all this types of stuff here. Okay, so
a quick question, Patrick. How many sites can you see Google Analytics through on LeadSnap with a certain subscription? Is there a limit?
I believe the way we have it set up is it kind of works with the companies. So if you have 50 companies, you can connect 50 websites, and you can have 50 Google Analytics.
Because it has to be connected to a company over in general, right?
It does, and so
you wouldn't be able to connect two sites to one company.
No,
right.
You can't do that.
Okay, so that would be the limitation, I would think.
Yep.
Cool.
Any other questions? What do you guys think? Is this, you guys see the value of this? I don't know where we are with this. Is this I think it's important, and it's something that we hadn't really talked a lot about. So I wanted to make sure that you guys got this out here and have access to setting this stuff up.
Hey, Patrick,
what's up, Alfredo? How you doing, man?
Good. I'm doing great. Is the Google Search Console, it's something that it's going to be integrated? How different is it? Can you speak like one versus the other?
Yeah, absolutely. So Google Analytics is really about your website. And I think that the Search Console is much more related to your Google My Business. 100%, it is something that is coming. We're just kind of like working through, some of these features that we've rolled out, but it is near the top of our list on an integration. I think there's a ton of extra data that we would love to pull in from Search Console. There's things that just are a perfect fit for LeadSnap with Search Console. It's been, honestly, I wish we would have had it in here a long time ago, but yeah, it's just been shuffled to the, it's gotten shuffled back a few times, but it's coming, and I'm really hoping that we can get it integrated, sometime in 2022. So in the next couple months. Cool. Any other questions?
That's all I'm seeing.
Okay, cool. Well, I know that, like, hey, if you haven't been,
Greg had a
if
question.
you haven't played, what's that?
Greg has a question.
Yeah.
No, I
So
just want to say, you asked what we thought about this Google Analytics. I think it's perfect timing right here. I just finished up this one customer and I needed to install this. I think it's a great, I don't want to say weapon, but it's a good way to really see what's going on with the website right there. Any entities you build out, you need, the more you can measure, the more you can sell with it. So it's great. I'm glad you went over this.
awesome, Greg. I'm glad that you got value from it. So it's just kind of like one of the differences. Google Analytics is really like user based, and like Search Console is more like search engine based. So those are some additional differences there. I'm glad that you've got value from this, Greg. And I think you guys, we have to kind of have like a standard playbook on some things. And I know there's a lot of different ways to twist this business model, but this one I think is not one that should be twisted. You should have Google Analytics set up and start to pay attention from it. There's some really good courses out there, and we're going to build into our training more and more stuff on this. So there is a sequence to doing things, and going super deep on Google Analytics when you don't have money coming in is not the best use of your time. But as you scale, like at the beginning, get it set up, because you can basically set this up. You saw I was going slow and I was like walking you through the steps and explaining this stuff. But if you're doing this on your own, it's going to take less than 5 minutes. And honestly, you can have a VA or someone on your team just put this as a part of your build process, right? You want this data in there, and you could have someone else just kind of like, you could do some searches and say, hey, what are the things that I should pay attention for from Google Analytics? We've got most of them built into LeadSnap. And like I said, we're going to continue to expand on this, but there's great information in here, and it can really help you optimize your site a ton, right? If you go to most major websites around the internet, there's some tools that you can, so this tool right here, if you look in my browser here, this Google tag, Google Assistant. Oops, I'm sorry. Let me go back over there real quick. So this is a tool, an extension, a free extension from Google. It's called Google Tag Assistant. This little blue sideways smiley face looking thing. And you'll see that like almost every major site is going to have the tag set up. So that's telling you something, right? They say success leaves clues. You need this data, even if you don't know why you need it now, just set it up and it'll be there later. And we can, like, as you dive deeper, you can leverage, but don't get spun out on Google Analytics yet, right? Let's just make it a part of your build process, get it set up. And then, as you start to have more sites and you want to try to optimize things, that data is going to be really valuable to you. And you can kind of see over time how your efforts are impacting the traffic that's reaching your site and where it's coming from.
Hey, Patrick.
Yeah.
So let's say you don't want to ask the customer for whatever reason, you want access to it. What is your thought? Is there a negative? Like if I go in and I have access to the website, but not the analytics to add it on my end. So in other words, is there a negative to having two, or if the customer forgot or doesn't remember to add another analytics?
So yeah, you should not have two on one site, right?
Okay.
If they have it, then I think this is an easy conversation to have once you really understand the benefits of this. It's like, hey, we're working on your site. We're working to improve your web presence. And, a lot of the things we're doing, we're using best practices, but sometimes we have to guess on things. And this is going to allow us to test things so that we're not guessing, right? So this is a standard thing. There's a lot of different ways that they can give you access to this. They can actually add you in through Google Analytics. If you go over here to admin, then you can add in.
Can you share your screen?
Oops, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so within Google Analytics, you can click on admin, right? And that's going to take you to this screen here. If you go into, I think it's in account settings, hang on, account management access. So this is where I can go and I can add in additional users. So you can request that your client adds you here, right? And they can add in your Gmail account, and then you'll be able to have some control, right? So I could just come in here and click on add users, and they can decide what privileges you'll have. So I'm not 100% sure if you need to have admin access to be able to have the permission to like link it into LeadSnap. But either like if you do, then it's pretty easy to make a strong case. You are their web person and you're working on improving their traffic. You need the ability to look at the traffic, right? Like this is like it's like they want you to work on their website, but they won't give you website access. Like, so, you know, I think that's an easy conversation to have. You can also, if they add you on like to the Gmail account, like you can add on another user there, and then through that they can, you can get access to it as well. You could also, a third option, I guess, would be to, you can add them as a user inside of LeadSnap with the permissions that they could go and add a Google Analytics account, and then they could come in here and authenticate it. And then you wouldn't even ever need access to it, but you would have, I guess, like what we have in here is like a portion of what is available here inside the reports here. So it would really be better if you had access to Google Analytics than just having it solely inside of LeadSnap. But those are like 3 ways that you can get access to it, Alfredo.
Cool, thank you.
Greg, is your hand up for now, or is that from before?
No, it's up
Okay.
now. Yeah, so I mean, another way, couldn't you just, instead of them having an account, can't you just set up a Gmail account and just add it to the website if you're working on the website?
Yeah, if they don't already have it set up. I think Alfredo's question was like how getting access to like an existing one.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they don't have analytics set up, which you can easily tell by using this like Google Tag Assistant thing, install that plugin, go to their site, and then it will just ask you to enable it. And like when I click on enable, right? So
Well, I know they don't because I built it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then in that case, you just add it yourself and you don't have to worry about that conversation at all, right? So
Okay, thanks.
so when I click on refresh here, you'll see that hold on, let me enable this. Okay, let me refresh this thing. Okay, so you can kind of see it's coming up with this, and that's the Google site tag that I installed, and that's a quick way to tell if your clients are using it. It's also kind of like, hey, this is simple for us to set up, and it may be that clients hear that you're going to install this analytics tracking, and they make like assumptions that you're doing something that's really complicated, and like maybe it's like a little extra feather in your hat for them from their perspective, where it's like, hey, one of the first things we need to do is we need to get analytics and tracking so we can understand where your traffic is now. We can set a baseline and we can see how our efforts are going to influence things over time. Like they're like, God, this guy's taking action right away. I didn't even know that existed, right? So a lot of these guys that are small business owners, they don't know that this thing is even there, right? So yeah, that's a quick way to give them some data on their site. All right, cool. Do we have any other questions related to Google Analytics? All right. What about questions with other stuff? Is there anybody that's like struggling, that has a problem? Like, hey, in my business, I'm at this point and I can't seem to push through. You got me here. If we don't have more questions, I'll jump off. But I'm happy to give you guys some one-on-one coaching for the next 10 minutes.
Patrick, where are we with the reports from LeadSnap?
We are close. I think Leo LeadSnap is he sent back another round of testing, and I believe that those changes are going to be uploaded tomorrow. And depending how those tests go, then we'll push it out. You know, we just got to pass all the tests. So yeah, we never try to launch anything that we know has issues, and we keep trying to like test it and find issues. So what I've been told is that the last set of issues are completed. So, and they're all like minor issues too. So we're really, really close, I think. I'm hoping that we can get this out in September, but I'm also going to be in an event part of the time. So that might take some of my attention. Okay, cool. I see some stuff coming in here. Setting up competitor heat maps. How do I do this? Yeah, absolutely. I will walk you through this. Okay, I mentioned this last week, and I think this is going to be huge. So we are working on Google My Business so that you guys don't have to have an API, that you'll use like a shared API, and we'll monitor it for people that are having too high of a suspension will kick you off the API. We have alarms and all kinds of stuff that we're building. So once we do that, it will be much easier for you guys to manage your Google My Business in here. We're doing our best to try to balance between making it easy for you guys, but protecting the API. So that kind of ties in with this heat map stuff. But you can run a heat map whether on anyone, right? So I think that was Randy. Randy, do you mind coming on camera for a second?
Okay, so yes, if you can show me how
How's it
that'd
going,
be
man?
fantastic. It's going great.
Yeah. All right. Do you have one that you want to dive into?
Well, I just put one on today, but I didn't really understand how to check the competitors because he's brand new with, it's all red, number 20s. Okay.
Okay.
But I wanted to compare at least with what some of the competitors are doing locally as well.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So this top area here, every Google My Business or Google Business.
Screen.
Jeez, are you kidding me? That's like 4 times I thought it was shared. I really need to. Okay. All right. So this top area here is what we use to identify the Google My Business that we're looking at. So every Google My Business has some like unique identifiers, and that's what this is you've got to tell our system which one to use.
Okay.
Easiest one for that you can do on anyone is this map URL. So if you've added it into our system, then it will show up on this list here. You can see we've got these ones added in there. If I've done it in the past, then it will be on this history. So these are all the companies that I've evaluated. If I've saved one as a configuration, it will be here. And then map URL, I can basically find anyone that has a Google My Business in the world. I can do that. And there's this little link right here. If you click on this, it will pop this out and take you to the spot where you can find this link here. So, Randy, is there one that you want to evaluate? And if you don't want to expose like that information, that's fine. I can make one up.
Oh, no, like you could just do a demo because I was just trying to find out how to add the competitors for, anything. In this case, I'm doing HVAC.
Okay. I'll just do, and I know my screen stopped sharing. Just give me 1 second here. HVAC. Hold on. Google's doing stuff to me. HVAC. Okay. I'm going to search for HVAC contractor, Dallas, Texas. Okay. I will resume my sharing now. All right. Okay. So that is the search that I've done. And you can see that it's come back for all of these. And it really doesn't matter like what the ranking is. I just need a way to kind of like get into this map area. So now I've got a listing. If I have one, then I can put the exact name in there. So I'll just choose this one, this unlimited air conditioning and heating. They look like they have a pretty solid listing with 177 reviews, 4.9. So next, if I click on the share link, I will get this link. Okay. So this is not the map URL. So what we need is the map URL. Okay. And this is not it, but this is going to take us there. So if I copy this and I paste it up into this window, you can see right now what it looks like. And I hit enter and you'll see that it's going to change. And you see how it says like equals G share at the end. So that is also not. And you see it changed again. That's the map URL. So that's what I need. I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to plug that in there. Right. Okay. So now I can put in my keyword and maybe I want to do like HVAC contractor. Right. So it knows that this people are located in Dallas. So it's kind of like moved it over there. And I'm going to say 1 mile between the grid points, and it's a 13 by 13 grid. Right. So 1 mile between here. So that's what this is. If I change this to be half a mile, you'll see that it'll get smaller, right? So now there's half a mile between here. It's 13 by 13. Okay, so I can adjust this by just like click on zoom out a little bit. Maybe I want to drag this, so I can just kind of like click and drag and move this wherever I want. If I click on minimize. Okay, so now I'm going to get like the whole Dallas area, which is a massive area. And if I use this one, I can redraw this, right? And I could say, this is the area that I want to do it. And if I don't really like that shape, hey, I want to stay inside this 235, then I can click like this and I can draw whatever shape I want. And as long as I connect these two, it will move it. It'll move it over there, right? So, all right. So I'm just going to keep it simple and we'll say that this is Dallas. Okay. So, okay. So I have some options here when I run this. So I can save this configuration or I can save the grid. So the configuration is everything. So it is this, the actual location and all the information about it, as well as the exact positioning on this map. So this is like the grid, and the configuration is the grid plus this stuff over here. So I can have this option. So if I'm constantly like running stuff in Dallas, then maybe I want to save, and I've got this like shape that hits the exact area that I want, and I can save that so I don't have to redraw it, right? And also, if I want to schedule these things to go out, then it's going to require a configuration because we need you to tell our system what GMB you're using and also like what grid or map shape you're using it on. So I'll click on start, and basically that will fire that thing up. Okay, so this has not started, maybe because there's some other users that are doing this. We have a cool update. I think we have our on our like test server. We're pushing out an update. I've had someone working on it for about a month, but I think we're going to reduce the time it takes to do a heat map by about 75% with this new update that we're rolling out. I don't know if you guys saw this, but we had this update come out recently where it's kind of like pulling your reviews. And like if I evaluate, so let's pretend that I've completed this one, Randy, and this is my completed heat map, right? So I've got this, and this one looks like it is a 5x5 grid. And if I click on averages, I can see, apparently this is the only one. Let me do a different one that actually has competitors. This HVAC San Diego King. Okay, cool. All right. So this is a completed one, and you can see it's a custom shape. So this is a list of the competitors that are here. So when you're evaluating these competitors and you want to know where they are and what they have, I can click on this averages tab and I can see a report of everyone. And this average, basically we're taking all the points on the grid, we're adding them up and dividing by the total number of points. So on this, there's 139 points, right? And this 127 is how many times they're showing up in the top 20, right? And this is their average score. And this is their average score in this like top portion. So it's the top 25% in the top left, the top 25% in the top right, bottom left and bottom right. So we also have all the reviews here, right? So you can kind of see, we were always bouncing out to Google to like see how tough they were. And now you've got it kind of like pulled right in here. So we're pulling those reviews in here. This looks like a super tough niche, right? It's HVAC in San Diego. That's an area with money, with a lot of people. HVAC is generally competitive. And you can see like this company here, Carini, they have 550 reviews with the 4.9 average, right? And this is what they've got for that. If I want to, I can click on this eyeball here, Randy, and it will flip the map. And I can see how the competitors are. Like this is now, I don't know which one I clicked on. Let me go in here. Hold on. You can also do that by here. If I click on this, and I can see how the competitors are ranking at that specific spot. And this is actually the coordinates of that spot. So if you want to geotag a photo or something like that, then you have the exact coordinates. And if I click on stable temp HVAC, it will show me how they're ranking in that spot. So that's how the heat map looks for stable temp HVAC. Cool. Randy, does that answer your question on how you can kind of like get the information you need from this thing?
Absolutely. I needed that. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, cool. So, okay, cool. I see someone in here. There's like 3,000 reviews in here somewhere, apparently. Yeah, that's insane. And this is what you want to avoid when you're trying to select your niche, is you want to avoid a niche like this, where it's like 175 reviews, 550, 150. I mean, it's just like, we know that reviews are a ranking factor, and I would rather choose one where there's like 3 reviews and 9 reviews instead of 679, because if I'm going to try to beat them and everything, that means I need 680 reviews. Whereas the people that have 7, then I need 8, right? So, cool. All right. So we are at 8:30. If you guys don't have any, does anyone else have any questions?
There's one more in the chat. Solon's asking where should you sell your leads for home services and also for dental? That's random, but.
Okay. So this question right here where it says, which networks are best to sell our Google Business Profile leads for home services and also dental. I see it. Okay, so for home services, Solon, what I would do is I would actually call the business owners. We have a lot of different prospecting stuff that we've gone through, but it's usually pretty easy to talk to. You're dealing with like dental where they have gatekeepers, but a lot of other ones don't. I wouldn't be selling my leads to any type of network, because instead of getting like, $50 a lead, I'll probably get 12 or 7 if I'm going to sell them to like some like lead network. So unless you're dealing with like 10,000 sites, then it's probably pretty easy for the ones that you have leads for to just like call, like you can make a list of 100 companies in a town and get all their phone numbers and then just one after another. That's what I used to do. I would just like call them up one after another and be like, hey, like part of my pitch a lot of times would be I was building the site and, I had it, the business owner I was building it for, they've like had some personal issues and now I've got leads coming in. Is there somebody that can take these from me? I don't want anything for it, but these people are getting upset with me because they think I'm like a remodeler and I'm just a marketer. Can you take these until I figure out what to do? And the sales cycle of the niche. So if you see the leads are coming in and they're setting appointments, you could wait, like let at least 1.5 sales cycles go by. So what I mean by that, if the sales cycle for remodeling is 2 weeks, I would say give them at least like 3 weeks. So that like if they've closed a couple of the things that have come from you, the sales process is not a sales process. It's a negotiation on what the price is going to be because you put money in their pocket for free and they trust you now, right? So that's huge. For dental, that's one of the ones that I try to avoid. Just like I don't like that whole thing is like regulated. It's like branded to a dentist. I know that there's some good strategies out there. I think LinkedIn would be a really good one. And, you could probably try to find like a LinkedIn prospecting professional and some of the strategies that they use. Hopefully that answers that. Is there anyone who knows how to fix disabled Google Business Profiles or maybe even unsuspended ones? After 4 years, one of my dental sites fell off the maps completely. Not sure why. It was hovering around 15 as last week. That is there's a lot of possible answers to that. If it's suspended, then the process is to appeal it and ask Google and continuously follow up with them. They may ask for some documentation to prove it. I've heard that people have had success by providing documents and Photoshop is a part of that process, I believe. Okay, cool. So, all right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know this wasn't like a fun joke around thing. Google Analytics is a little techie. We're in the weeds with that, but it's a part of this. When you guys are running marketing, you guys should be aware of this. You guys should know that it's out there and kind of work to get this stuff set up so that you can leverage this data and look for ways to improve it over time. Okay, so like I said at the beginning of the call, if you guys are interested in joining us for the Traffic and Conversion Summit, send me a message, send a message to Jeff. I believe we're sold out of our discounted tickets, but we're still potential. I'm holding the tickets for a few people. And if those people don't go through, then we may open up a couple more. If not, then like, hey, there's still other tickets. I think we can get you a discount on those, just not nearly as big. But it's an awesome conference. There's going to be a ton of people. There's some great speakers there. We would love to meet you guys in person if it works for you guys in your schedule. Okay, so you guys have an awesome week. Let's create some wins. And I think we will also not be here on the 26th. Is that the day? Or I'm sorry, the
27th, I think, right?
28th.
28th.
Yeah. So we will not be here for that call because we'll be at the event doing our magic. So, all right, you guys have an awesome week. Let's create some wins between now and next Wednesday. All right, we'll see you guys in the group. Thanks a lot.
Peace.
Adios.